Today I'm cutting a cardboard template for the transom. I use this to transfer the shape onto my marine plywood, and then hopefully everything will fit like it's supposed to. But knowing the way things go on this, there'll be more trimming on that too. Got that all cut, flush to the back. I'll have to make the plywood in the front a little bit thicker or longer because this does taper. Now that I've got this, that's a starting point for my plywood. I made a cardboard template so I can cut my plywood. Now what I've done is I've transferred that to a piece of plywood and fit my first piece. I use that same template and cut a little bit bigger because I've got a taper here. It's a little bit bigger on this side. For the second piece, I'll adhere these two pieces together. Also, now that I've got that flush up against the back, I've gone to the outside and transferred the opening on the back side. Now I use that opening on both pieces to line the two pieces together when I go and glue the two pieces together. So it's the end of March. Hopefully, beginning of May, I'll be able to have this thing back on the water. Alright, what I've done is I've cut out, I want to put guide holes in here so I can put the jigsaw and cut this opening out. What I've done is I've gone about 3/4 of the way through with a hole saw, just so I can get the pilot holes on the other side. I'll drill these back from this side so they won't split out along the edges. Leaves a nice clean edge. And now I can get my jigsaw and cut out the inside. Opening now. Cut down the center of the line, that way when I fit the two pieces, put this back on the fiberglass on the transom, I'll be able to use a file or jigsaw to fit that to the fiberglass opening. Okay. Got both pieces of plywood, 3/4 inch marine grade plywood, pre-fitted for the opening. I don't know if we can. Let's see. I've left room all the way around for trimming. You can see there's the first one, the second one. I'll have to seal those, glue them together, and then I go to mount them in. I'll have to come up with a clamp system that clamps the whole thing here to the transom, sucks it all together with a good adhesive. Then I'll come back in and retrim, especially right in here. I'll have to cut that all out both directions for the steering cables. But she's one step closer. Hey everyone, today what I've done is I got my sheets cut for the transom. What I've done is now I've mixed up a batch of fiberglass resin 50-50 with acetone, adding the hardener like I would normally just for resin. And I've gone ahead and painted the two mating faces. I've got to put fiberglass on the two mating faces of these plywoods. Now this will take a while to dry, but that'll help waterproof the wood. And also, what I've done in here, I don't know if you can see, I have also painted all the exposed wood, good wood left, and waterproof that, so that when I put the transom back in, hopefully it'll help waterproof the rest of the wood that's in there. Next I'll be joining the two halves of the transom with about an 1/8 inch of cloth between them. It should bond the two halves together, and then I can start sanding everything on the edges and fitting it into the transom. Then I'll go ahead and waterproof the outsides of the transom. Later. Okay, as you can see, I didn't get to film. I took my two pieces of the plywood, I sealed it and then sanded it. Now I've got 3 sheets of glass cloth sandwiched in between the two pieces. I applied a layer of resin on each cloth, and then transferred the last plywood sheet on top and then clamped it all together. It should glue the two halves of the transom wood together. I'll let this dry and see how well I got it lined up. So I'll talk to you later. Yeah, let's see. I've got the 2 sheets. So I got three layers of the woven cloth fiberglassed in. Okay, these 2 pieces have dried. What I'm doing right now is taking and filling in, trying to smooth out the transition between the first sheet and the second sheet. Plus I got some areas here that splintered out when I cut it on the saw. So I'm filling those in. I'll also be filling in some of the gaps on the boat. This is the stuff I'm using to fill in, level out. So it's a short strand fiberglass reinforced body filler. So I get that all smoothed out and fitted in my opening. Well, like I said, I've got some areas in here in the corners that I want to fill in with a body filler too, so that when I go to glue the transom to the or the wood and the transom together and squeeze them together, that whatever I'm using right now, I haven't figured it out yet on how to glue it on. I think I'm going to mix up some fiberglass resin with short strand fibers, paste that on there, and then clamp the outer shell to the wood until that sets up. Then I'll come in and fill in with fiberglass and filler on the backside. Mix a batch of this up. Good thing about this stuff is it sets up fast and you can sand it fairly quick. Bad thing about it, it sets up fast. Don't mix up more than you can use up in about 3 minutes on a normal temperature day. On a hot day, you better give yourself only about 1.5 minutes. Do yourself a favor. Wear gloves. First project I worked on with this stuff, it took me about a week to get all this back off my hands. So I'm just filling in, smoothing out all the cracks and splits. Make sure it gets mixed to a uniform color. You see that? So I don't have a whole lot of time, so talking will be at a minimum. You'll know when it starts setting up, it starts feeling like rubber. It's already setting. And let that set up and sand it down. Yeah, I'm going to sand down a lot of the rough stuff on this last coat I just put on. As you can see, it sands pretty easy. And I'm pretty sure you guys don't want to sit here and watch me sand, so I'll get back to you. Alright, I've prepped the transom, both the back of the boat and the transom I made by wiping it all down with some mech. Methyl ethyl ketone. It's like a really strong acetone. I did that to get rid of any dust and dirt and grease left on the two pieces. I'll be mixing up the adhesive now to clamp the two together. Also gone ahead and made a set of clamps, 4 clamps to clamp the transom I built to the existing transom. Basically a set of 2x4s with threaded rod through it. Then I'll just put the transom up there, clamp this on the outside, tighten the bolts to draw everything together and tight and hold it until everything dries. So you should have 2 people to do this, one on the outside, one on the inside. So
see how it goes. Alright, the adhesive I'm going to be using, I'm going to be making. It consists of 16 ounces of fiberglass resin, 5.5 cc's of hardener, 1.5 ounces of quarter chop strand, and 5 to 8 ounces of the silica to thicken it so I can put it on vertical surfaces without it sagging. Now all this is going to require a mask, so once I start mixing this I won't be able to talk through a mask, so just thought I'd show you ahead of time what I'm going to be using. Alright, sorry I didn't have time to film this. My helper had to go away at the last second, so I didn't get time to set a camera up. Basically I applied my resin adhesive to both the fiberglass transom and the wood transom I built, and bolted it together with the 4 clamps, and then squeeze it and clamp it out. I'll leave this clamped for a day or two. Had to suck the fiberglass to the wood. Hopefully when I remove the clamps it's strong enough to stay that way. Talk to you later. Alright, back onto this project. When I originally started, got everything out, I drew a template on the opening of the inside. So what I've done is I've transferred that, especially from the top where I need to get the steering clearance. So now I have to kind of whittle that out and then seal the back side of this wooden transom, fill in all the gaps with filler, and start fiberglassing. Looks like I'm going to have to build up the bottom about 150 thousandths thick. The old transom went from 2 inches at the bottom to 1 inch 850 at the top. Pretty close at the top, but I'm about 150 thou shy for the thickness on the bottom, so I'll build that up with layers of fiberglass and filler. Alright, I had to do quite a bit of cutting and fitting on the opening. As you can see, as I drilled the mounting holes through, some of the plywood split out, but the outdrive unit down there just fits that opening. So I had to trim it all the way out to the opening of the fiberglass. I was thinking that there was a lot more room than there was, but now that I've got it fit, I've sanded this side of the wood. I'll clean it up, vacuum up all the sawdust, wipe it down with acetone, and then seal it with the resin acetone mixture so that I can start filling in. Let's see if I can show you. Right down here. Looks like I've got to build up about 150 thou and then up to the top. So I'll be tapering layers of fiberglass thicker on the bottom until I get to the top. I'll have to wrap all the edges. I have to fill in the gap with filler first and then wrap it with fiberglass. And then hopefully we start putting the motor back in.
dressing done on the transom. I sanded it and put a quick coat of white paint on there. I just gotta clean all this up so I can work. Start putting the out drive back on. Got the out drive sitting here on the bench. I'm gonna go ahead and lay a bead of Permatex on this seal here. Seal's still good, so I'm going to use that. I've got seal kit ordered for the lower unit, so I want to get this all in before the lower unit gets gaskets get back. After that, it'll be hook everything up and get the motor in. Alright, I didn't get to film it, but I got the outdrive trim bracket with this motor mount put on. I was going to do it myself. In the middle of doing it, realized all this stuff got to go through the bracket and start pushing on the outdrive trim. So a buddy of mine stopped by and helped me finish it, so it's been on there about an hour. I gotta torque all these bolts. Definitely feels a lot more solid than the one I took off. I'll have to get this mounted over here. I just found out I'm missing one of the bolts. I have to go back and review when I tore it apart if I had both bolts. If not, I'll have to get a new one for that. And then I can set the motor. See ya. Okay, today I'm going to be working on putting the lower unit back on. Got to replace these two O-rings. This gasket here, see that's shot. And there's actually another seal gasket that goes on the outdrive that mates up with this. Got the seal kit online. First thing I gotta do, clean this all up and then get it re-lubed with a high pressure grease, high pressure, high temp. So gonna use some acetone to wipe it down. scrape clean. I didn't know, but my camera shut off. I already replaced these two seals. I got this one here now. That'll lay right there. Next seal got to be replaced is this one right here. I should say O-ring. Tear that one up. I gotta make sure this one is this right size. Yep. Alright, I'm getting ready to put the lower unit on. I'm told this is one of the hardest parts. Gone ahead and put some 2x4s down below to try to help me get the right height. Biggest issue is going to be lining up the spline on the lower unit with the splines in the motor. So, let's see how this goes. Alright, I'm gonna try this again. I had to replace the 2x4s with 2x8s. 2x4s kept tipping over. I also put the gasket on here because it kept wanting to fall off of the lower unit. Just a couple of things that I'll tell you guys about that I didn't know about. Yes. Wasn't too bad. Wasn't too good either, but put the tilt trim back on. Alright. That's back on. I'll put the battery back in. Fill this with oil. Check to see if everything works. Well, motor's all back in. Electrical's all hooked back up. Plumbing's all hooked back up. Gas line's all hooked up. Motor turns over and starts. Checked out all the electrical. So far everything's working there. So now I just gotta put the engine compartment back together and clean it up, and got some wire ties. And wire tie the harnesses down there. Get all this cleaned up. And then it'll be, see if it leaks.